Welcome to the Vacation Liberty School Seesaw Construction video. If you have someone in your group who's good at building things, you might just tell them, build me something. But if you want a little more detail as to one way to do it, I'll run through the way that I built mine. Now, I just built mine out of whatever I could find in my basement as far as materials go. Yours might look a lot different depending upon what stuff you have in your basement. But if you want to follow what I did, I'll show you the materials you can go buy and make one that does look just like what I did. The main part of the construction is building the base. I had some old metal table legs sitting in my basement, so that's what I used as a pipe to support the board. I cut mine off at a length of 17.5 inches. If I hadn't had that table leg, I probably would have just gone to the hardware store and bought a 18-inch long piece of 1-inch pipe. I'm showing you a shorter one here because that's what I have. I'll be demonstrating how you would use this kind of pipe also as we go through it. The main thing we're trying to do is get this pipe about 23 inches off the ground. And it needs to be able to support several hundred pounds. With the scrap wood I used, I was able to make a base that was in the shape of an equilateral triangle. I like that shape because of the 3 branches of government with the separation of powers. And I'll do something extra with that you can choose to do or not to do that'll show those 3 branches. The materials you'll need to build the base are 2 2x6s 8 feet long and a couple short pieces of 2x4s each 17 inches long. And if you want to make a nice plywood front to it, then pieces of plywood that are big enough to make that equilateral triangle. I use 3-inch long framing nails, 16D. If you have 2.5, that probably would have worked better. The one thing I don't have shown here is the board that's used as the seesaw that they sit on. I used 8-foot long 2x12, again because that's what I had in my basement. It would have been better, and I would recommend having a 10-foot long piece, or even 12 if you have the means to transport it. With 8 feet long, it was kind of hard for the Constitutional Convention to find the balance. I think it'll be a lot better for the kids if it is 10 feet or 12 feet long. We're going to make an equilateral triangle that has 26.25 inch lengths from the exterior. If you wanted to do 26, that's fine. It'll just be a little bit shorter. But you'll see me measuring 26.25 and all the stuff from here on out. Each end is going to have 2 pieces that look like this, and one at the bottom that's a little bit different. So to do 2 ends of the base, there'll be a total of 4 of one kind and 2 of the other kind of these pieces. We're going to cut the 4 similar pieces out of one 8-foot long 2x6. And the other 2 similar pieces will come out of a part of the other 8-foot long 2x6. These 4 pieces have different angles on each end, one 30 degrees, one 60 degrees. I'm going to show you how to lay these out and have them all fit on one 8-foot board. We'll start by making this 60-degree angle near the end. I'm going to be drawing all the lines on this board before we make any cuts. If you're really good with the circular saw and being able to cut on the precise side of the line that you're trying to, then this might work for you, but otherwise you might want to do a cut, then make a measurement, do a cut, make a measurement, and so on. I'll always be measuring the 26.25 inches on the long edge of the board. After coming out the 26.25, we're now going to make the more extreme 30-degree angle back towards the end where we started. So then we'll go back and check, make sure we did have 26.25. For the next piece, the long edge will be on the other side, so we'll come over to that side and measure out 26.25, and that'll be where we make our mark to start the next angle. We alternate back to making a 60-degree angle. So again, we check and make sure that it is 26.25. Now we're going to just keep doing this pattern of alternating between these angles until we get to the end of the board, and that'll make our 4 pieces that each have the different angle on each end. For this demonstration, I only had a 7-foot long 2x6 around, so I don't quite have enough material to go all the way, but you can see what it would have looked like if I had the right length board. So now we have the 2 bottom pieces to make that have the same angles on each end. We'll make those out of part of the other 2x6. So we'll start just as we did before with the 60-degree angle towards the end. We'll measure our 26 1/4, and this time we won't alternate the kind of angle. It'll all be the less severe angles, and we'll lay this out this way until we get the two pieces. So now wherever we have these lines drawn, that's where we're going to make our cuts with our circular saw. Now we need to make the vertical members that hold the pipe. First, we cut them each to a length of 17 inches. With the fat table leg pipe that I had, I didn't have a means to cut a hole that size, so I just cut these notches in the top and we set it in. If you're using the 1-inch pipe, then it's easy to get a boring bit that makes just the right size hole, and that would be a lot better in that the pipe is contained and can't fall out. Now I'm going to show you how the end pieces are put together. I'm flipping it over to the orientation it was in when I nailed it together. We have the two similar pieces and the one bottom piece laid out like this. I was actually sitting on them to hold them in place when I tacked them together with my finishing nail gun. The finishing nails aren't strong enough to support the weight, but they do a good job of holding it in place till we can get the framing nails in. So I came back and nailed them with the framing nails to make it sturdy. We need to attach the fourth vertical piece that will support the pipe. Now we take the three pieces we just nailed together, flip them over, lay them on the floor, and we'll attach the fourth vertical piece. Again, I did it first with the finishing nailer, then with the framing nails. I toenail the vertical piece to the base piece with the finishing nailer. We then flip it over and I toenail it on the other side. We need to repeat this for the other side, then we can put the two sides together. With the leftover pieces of 2x6, we'll cut some pieces that connect the two ends together. With my 17.5-inch pipe, I cut the length to 20.5 inches. Now if you bought an 18-inch pipe, you'll need to make it a ½ inch longer, 21 inches. If you bored holes to put your pipe in, you'll want to make sure you put that pipe in before you nail the pieces together. If you notched it like I did, then you can always just put the pipe on after you nail it together. You'll only have enough scrap left in that second 2x6 to make two of these cross pieces, so you do need to find a couple more scraps of wood to make a couple more cross pieces. They don't have to be 2x6s, you could use 2x4s, just sort of whatever you have available. Now you could just paint Constitution on what you have and you're done, but I'm going to put some plywood on and make my little hinge door that shows us the separation of powers. You need to cut out of plywood equilateral triangles that are again 26 1/4 inches, and each of the angles will be 60 degrees. You'll cut a strip off the bottom of one of the triangles so that you can attach the hinges. It's easiest to paint the words on the triangle before you attach it. So do that first, then attach it with the finishing nailer. Then you'll come back and attach the bottom strip of the other triangle. Now you attach the hinges and the portion that swings down. I made a crude and simple latch by grinding the tip off a nail, bending it, and then attaching it with some double-pointed tacks. In order to keep the board from sliding on the pipe, I put some adhesive-backed weather stripping around the pipe. You can use whatever kind of non-slip material you can find. You can set your board on top, and you're ready to teach about liberty being the balance between tyranny and anarchy, determined by where we put the Constitution.